Nathan, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing really well. Really
Cool.
excited for this. How's the week been?
Yeah, it's been all right. Yeah, it's been a fun one, hasn't it? Especially today.
And why is that? I think I know what
Well,
you're about to say, though.
yeah, yeah. All the markets doing their thing. Like, all the future presidents doing their thing.
Yeah, what a weird time to be. Like the president just dropped a contract address. What is this?
Yeah, it's insane. Absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Well, hell yeah! Thanks for taking some time to talk about some of the early work that you did, and I'm really excited to talk about things like Kaleidoscope and some of your Rare Pepes, and I think Kaleidoscope, the project you did on Counterparty, I think is the longest running project so far because you're still accepting submissions, right?
Well, sort of yes, but also broken, so you can't actually submit. And
Oh
it's been
no.
broken for about a year now, just because I was using Exchange API to run stuff, and then uh, stuff stopped happening with that, and I haven't been able to find a good API to get back on yet. So yeah, and the site doesn't work itself anyway. But we'll get into that.
Of course, yeah. We can start with some earlier stuff.
Yeah.
I I did some. I watched the Zero G interview,
Oh yeah.
and I heard you have a background in like music and video art, and at one time you were studying to be an astrophysicist. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, uh, I did a year of astrophysics at university before I was like, I think I'm gonna just be an artist instead. Like, not quite cut out for astrophysicist, but still super interested in all that stuff. But basically I went to uni to do that, and there was like a bunch of people in my halls of residence on this mad new music course which is called Sonic Art, and they were just doing all sorts of crazy shit with I don't know. It was like just experimental music stuff basically. But I'd been doing music. I've been in bands and stuff up until then, and I just saw these guys doing that, and I was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. So I switched to that course like at the end of first year of astrophysics. So
So
yeah,
what is sonic art? Is that like art with like music vibrations or kind of?
yeah, yeah, just sound art. Actually, the course. So it was like a brand new course when the guys who I was living with started it, and there was another university that was doing one that they called phonic art, and it was just basically a experimental music and sound art course. So like Sonic, it eventually got called Sonic Art, like as a blanket term across all the unis here, just meaning sound art basically. So there was just like a big variety of people doing anything from just composing weird music to like doing installations involving sound, and there was a lot of like people who were into like coding stuff and like making like code based music and stuff, like just loads of mad stuff like that. So yeah, it was really good fun.
That's super interesting. What instruments do you play in the bands that you played beforehand? Or do you still play
Uh,
as well to this day?
I'm like ridiculously out of practice. I mean, yeah. So I played drums and bass and keys in some bands when I was in my teenage years. But then, basically, when I went to uni, I pretty much I was in another band. I was in another band like after university where I was playing the drums for like a couple of years. But that was still a while ago now.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. The more I look into these early counterparty artists, Pepe artists, etc., they're all talented in some other aspect of life. I've started to notice.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, everyone's got like a great story. Like, yeah. But man, like yeah, I saw your 18-minute documentary thing, and like, yeah, I saw that you'd used some of the stuff on the zero G thing on there from me as well. But like, yeah, it was really cool, that whole thing. Like that documentary is so well put together, and like massive kudos, and like thanks for talking to me about all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I've got like a massive imposter syndrome because there's like so many people who did like way more significant things than me. Like, but yeah, I'm always happy to like chat and stuff because I love chatting to people. So it's really cool.
of
Thanks.
course, yeah, I love that interview, and there were some things you said about counterparty in the space that I thought were really like wholesome and right, and I ended the documentary with you saying, on Counterparty, you don't have other people pumping stuff for you, so you got to do all the work,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
respected that. I was like, wow, that's right,
yeah, and
Um,
that still stands even now. Like, yeah, I mean, how long ago was that? Zero G must have been like a year and a half ago now, maybe even a year and a half. But yeah, I mean, even with all the weird stuff that's happened like over the last sort of 6 months with Counterparty, it still stands really. You can just, anyone can just get on it and do something and make something happen. And obviously, yeah, you've got to find the right API. But you know, you can just run a node or something like what Dan Anderson did and stuff. I'm not clever enough for that, so.
Yeah, I think from what I've been told, running a node is a little bit easier these days.
Yeah.
I wanted to look into it. I think Robot Love Coffee was looking at it and such, and I'm gonna post that 0G interview up on the. I just got told that the top bar on Twitter Spaces is now called the Light Bright, so
Right.
we're gonna call the Light Bright from now on. But that interview for up there for anyone interested. But I'm interested in how you got interested in like just cryptocurrency in general, coming from an art background and music.
Yeah. Basically, it was just all because of one friend of mine, a guy called Mark, and I was just bumming around in a town here in the UK called Brighton, which is a very arty, left wing sort of hippie town. It's the only like constituency in the whole of the UK that has a Green politician, like from the Green Party, as their MP. So you can imagine what sort of place it's like. So I was just bumming around there, and I was hanging out with loads of DIY music people, and they were, you know, there was just loads of great gigs going on. Just I met this one guy who I became good friends with, actually a group of people, but one guy in particular who was into all that stuff. And not long after I met him, he just decided that he wanted to get rich. So he started like looking into. He's one of these like massively high agency guys, you know. He's one of these. So he's the kind of guy who he basically like his teeth were wonky, and he wanted to sort out his teeth, and he was like, I'm not fucking paying £5,000 to like go to a smile clinic and have them like reset my teeth. I'm going to do it myself. So he like basically got his own 3D scanner and 3D printer, and he scanned his own teeth and printed his own gum shields and like moved his teeth around in like 3D modeling things like in order to get them the way he wanted to. Yeah, and ended up he had to even file his own teeth down at one point as well. But anyway, ended up sorting all his teeth out. He's that kind of guy. So he's like, I'm going to get rich. And then basically told me all his schemes every time I met up with him. And then just one day he was like, oh, I've like found this Bitcoin and I'm buying some. Do you want to get some? And I was like, sure. And that was like 2015, like maybe 2014, 2015. So, I mean, at the time, it was like $200. And I was looking at it thinking, that is just crazy expensive. And yet over here, I don't know what it's like, but over here you had to like get on a forum called Local Bitcoins, and you basically had to.
Yeah, we had that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it felt dodgy as fuck, but I was all into the idealism of it and stuff. So I was like, yeah, this is cool. I love this idea. I mean, I don't like this is a kind of another thing that's like kind of a bit of a contrast to the States is that over here and in Europe in general, like Bitcoin is kind of seen as like, well, it's not seen as left wing, but it's definitely not seen as only right wing. So like, you know, there was like a bunch of people in Brighton that were getting into it because they were like hippies and they were like, yeah, we don't want the government, you know. It's basically like it's like anti-establishment, and that suits the left wing as much as it does the right wing. So yeah, we don't have that problem with like libtards over here, like that maybe is more difficult and challenging in the States. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, so I thought it was cool, like this whole Bitcoin thing, and I bought some. Not a lot. I didn't have much money, but not long after that, there was like a little art shop. It was a tiny little thing just inside an indoor market, and he had a Bitcoin accepted here sticker. So I started going in and talking to him, and he was basically a guy who got into Bitcoin even a few years earlier than that, and he'd used his Bitcoin money to set up an art shop, which he'd always wanted to do. And then one day he just said to me, "Oh, you should maybe buy some of this Ethereum stuff that's coming out in the next couple of days." And so I like went and bought some of that, and I didn't know what I was doing, but like after buying that, I started looking at charts and trading and stuff, and yeah, just got really into crypto.
Was that your first entry into trading in general, was crypto? Because I had the same experience. I never really cared about stocks or charts. But then when I saw the Bitcoin graph, I started just seeing every graph possible after that.
Yeah. So the guy who had introduced me to it, Mark, he sort of had got into trading stocks and shares, and he sort of showed me like how, you know, all these charts and stuff of stocks, and I was like, and he sort of showed me how to use like I can't remember the trading platform, like Master Trader something, MT4 or something like. But I mean, I had like one or two looks at it before he then told me about Bitcoin, and then I was looking at charts, and yeah, I was just like in the early days, I was looking at charts 8 hours a day. I just couldn't stop looking at them. I was totally fascinated, and I used to like every single shitcoin. I used to get on their website and read about their project and be like, "Wow, this is amazing! I can't believe these guys. They're gonna like revolutionize the dental industry. This is gonna be crazy." Or you know, I don't know if you remember Dentacoin.
No, I don't, but I do remember Carlos Matos and BitConnect. I think some of
Yeah,
the early coins I looked at was like Basic Attention Token. I thought that was really cool.
yeah.
And then that kind of brings us in, because then I can see where you're going, because it's 2015, and then in 2016, the main exchanges were Bittrex and Poloniex. And from I've been told you were also a Trollbox enjoyer.
Yeah.
And I remember that really well.
Yeah, I listened to your interview with the Emblem guys as well, and I was like, oh, he was in Poloniex as well. Yeah. So yeah, fellow Bittrex Banhammer guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that how you kind of found out about Counterparty? You were trading the Poloniex and looking into, because I remember doing exactly the same thing, starting to look at the website, what's their white paper, what's their vibe.
Yeah.
And I found Counterparty the same way. I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. Never heard of this before. Tokenization and such.
And you could launch your own token, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I mean, I thought everything was cool. So like I was straight in the Telegram chat. I was like, hello. But I think a big part of it actually was probably well, I mean, it was like top 10 on CoinMarketCap. I remember seeing it on CoinMarketCap, and that was part of the spur to like investigate it. But also Ground Beef Taxi, who also known as Rob Ness, like he was just like an absolute monster in the troll box, and he was just banging on about Counterparty like all the time, and Rare Pepe's as soon as they came up. But I mean, I was still like late to the party, even really considering that I was like, yeah, trading, yeah, a year before Rare Pepe started. I actually still didn't really catch on to Rare Pepe's until like, I don't know, maybe they were all going already a year before I really caught on to what was going on. So, yeah.
Did you at that time? Did you ever kind of look into Book of Orbs and such? Because
totally.
I miss Book of Orbs so much. Seeing Spells of Genesis and all that.
I loved it. Book of Orbs. I mean, I did all my Rare Pepe buying on Book of Orbs. Yeah. As soon as I got into it, I was like, wow, this is nuts. Like, I just lie awake at night with my phone, because it was an app on the phone. It was so cool. I mean, like it's still rare even nowadays, like on most chains, to have like an app on your phone where you've got all the NFTs and all the trading thing built into it. It was so cool.
It felt like a little trading card game or whatever. I felt like I was playing Pokemon Red again, and I was trying to catch them all. You know, I remember those days.
Yeah.
So
so you've got a Rare Pepe, right? Series in like late in the series. So when were you into them?
I kind of had the same process of I was on Poloniex. I saw the troll box. I remember Ground Beef Taxi, and I remember Zolblort the mod, right? Would ban people. And it's funny, if you type in like Poloniex troll box on Google and look at images, there's like images of Zolblort banning people, like those what they screenshotted. And so when I saw Counterparty, I think I didn't even like, I don't really remember trading the token too much, because I think it was really like it had hit a huge number or something. But I just like looked at the website, and I saw Spells of Genesis. I somehow found Book of Orbs, and I saw the Rare Pepe tab, and I was already into like making memes at the time. Like I had made a couple Julian Assange Doge memes, and
nice.
I had just
you put stuff on Doge Party before you put anything on Counterparty?
No, not at all. I didn't even know about Doge Party until a little later. But
right.
I was just into the memetic culture, and you know,
so Doge just the meme Doge,
yeah, and that was around the time of like the whole American Hillary Clinton versus Trump election. And Pepe was like, it was kind of like this, I don't know, it was like this edgy thing, but it was also, I started to see the political cards, right? So first off, I recognized Zolblort in Series 1. And then
Yeah.
I recognized, I think one of my favorite ones was like I'm with Pepe. They took like Hillary Clinton's, you know, poster of like campaign poster and turned it into it was such a fuck you, you know, it was so
Yeah.
funny to me. And then
Yeah.
I really loved it because I saw Hillary Pepe, and they were, and because I was into Julian Assange, so they were minting the bank statements on the card of she, you know, she did that talk and got paid by all these big bankers. And I was like, this
Yeah.
is, and it reminded me of early like political cartoons. And I had done a project, I think years earlier, where I was looking at old newspapers, like the colonies, and I was looking at
Yeah.
political cartoons, you know, like
Yeah.
the
Right.
join or die, and you know, got that like snake that's like separated, kind of all the different parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's what influenced me. I made a card called Breitbart Pep, and it was a
Yeah.
highly political card, but I just thought it was cool that it was like uncensorable, and then you could trade it. I just,
Yeah.
you know, the whole making, you know, Rare Pepe's rare using a blockchain system. Once I found out that the tokens were like locked and like I could see everything, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is incredible. But
Yeah.
you made some early Pepes too. You your first one was Pepe Top Keck.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
How did you get the idea for that? It's here. While you're talking, I'll post an image of it and put it up top because I really like that first one you made.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Well, actually, so Pepe top, so top cake. So there's a, I don't know, in some European language, cake is something to do with cake. So there is actually um, a snack that comes in a little packet like that called top cake. And obviously, it's not like Pepe flavored or anything, but they have like, it's like a cake with some raspberry jam inside it or something, like a Twinkie, I expect. I've never tried one, but you can buy them in like here in Europe. So I could get some sent to my house. I was thinking of that once, but I just didn't know enough crypto people here in the UK at that time who would like think that was funny. um, but yeah, so Top Keck already existed, and I just pepified it, and you know, just started brushing up on some Photoshop skills that I hadn't ever had before. So it's pretty cool to
See, now
start
I don't
learning.
believe that. I mean, if you compare Breitbart Pep to all of your cards, it looks like you're a pro. So I don't believe that you didn't have that much. Maybe you were surrounded by, you know, absolute art legends and you compared yourself. But for me, I did this thing. I copied and pasted and I took out the background and I was like, oh my God, that took an hour. You know, oh my God. So
Yeah, but the thing is, Breitbart Pep has like this mimetic power to it, like that. So my cards don't have a lot of mimetic power to them. I don't think there isn't any like that look like. I mean, when you look at all the Series One cards, they're just like they're just so mimetic, and like your one like really fits well within that. Like I think, but yeah, some of my ones are just like I don't know. You can tell I come from an arts background. You can tell I'm an arts major.
well, yeah, I think I was going for that series one aesthetic because I was way
Yeah,
late. I forgot, like 31 or something like that. But
yeah,
I
right.
disagree with your interpretation. I think Rare Cherry is one of the most mimetics. I mean, Pimo Pepe.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
okay.
I was so, what was it? Adventure Time was so popular at that time, and
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I picked up, you know how cool Pepe is, Nathan. When I pick up cards because of what they are, and I don't look at the artist, and
yeah.
I have a lot of Rare Cherry. I love that one,
Oh, cool.
and I got Pimo, and when I look back, and I was like, oh, that's Nathan. Oh, let's fucking go, and you get excited that it's an artist
Cool.
that you enjoy. But no, I think your cards are incredibly mimetic, and you want to like touch on that, just touch on that time period where like people were making Rare Pepes and you kind of had to make something that was familiar to like culture,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think Red Cherry
yeah,
did that incredible because who didn't play solitaire, right? And then win and
yeah.
see the cards. Do you want to comment on kind of, was it just for fun, or were you like, oh, if I make something mimetic I could sell this and maybe make a little profit, or was it a little bit of both?
Uh, yeah, I mean, there wasn't any profit in Pepe cards back then. Actually, like the only reason I wanted to sell Pepe cards was Pepe Cash to buy more to buy more Rare Pepes. So yeah, everything I was doing was like partly it was doing like I need more Rare Pepes, like because I just was addicted to collecting them so much, and like I wasn't even thinking about the games at that point. But then the other part was like, you know, I kind of still wanted to be an artist, and I was like, yeah, like I was starting to get interested in coding. So I don't know if you know this, but Rare Cherry is actually like coded. It's a piece of JavaScript code that actually like bounces the cards. And if there's like I can't remember if it's like Rare Cherry or something, but there's a subasset that has the actual HTML version of the cards bouncing down. So it's all like in HD and it fits to the size of the screen and stuff. So yeah, it was just like an experiment in those things. Like I just wanted to do something with code. Like I can't remember why I specifically chose the solitaire thing, but must have been something to do with just, yeah, I had like a time when I was addicted to solitaire too. I don't know like how much you played it, but I remember when I was a kid, like I played it so much that when I closed my eyes, I like saw the cards like falling down. You know, when you get like that addicted to something. Yeah. So yeah, it was like a period of my life where I was like pretty into it. But Cherry, I don't know if you know this either, but like the guy who coded that animation originally, I think his name was Matt Cherry or something, and he worked for Microsoft, and he was like, he just did that for fun, you know. And he just taught. Yeah, there's interesting interviews with him talking about that, because it's one of those things like you just do something because you can, like, you know, because it's an experiment or something, and then it becomes something iconic and everybody knows what it is and everyone can recognize it. And yeah, so he's got that sort of story in him. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know where Cherry came into that, but that makes more sense. And that's so interesting that I just posted the Rare Cherry up top for anyone that's unaware. And then I posted the Subasset too. It looks like rarecherry.code.
Yeah,
that's something.
If it still works.
Does it? Oh my god!
I don't know. So I was looking at Token Scan today, and like I think JDog's not. He's removed all the Kaleidoscope stuff. I think we'll get into that as well.
Wait, no way. No, I still see the banner. I'm pretty sure I've seen it recently.
You've got the banner, have you? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think
the banner's still there, then that's cool. Because I was looking at some Kaleidoscope stuff today that didn't have the banner and the image wasn't showing up. So I mean, Kaleidoscope, we've been a bit naughty, and you know, yeah, we're part of the, which it was unintentional, but we're part of the people who might have like pissed off JDog a bit, like, and some other people, but only like none of it was malicious. But obviously, it meant that, like, you know, JDog had to do extra work in order to manage the shit that we were like shoving out there. So, which I'm extremely apologetic for, but also it was fun.
Yeah, you know, I have a bunch of questions about Kaleidoscope, but before we get into that, I really need to hear the story on Yell Pepe, because that is an iconic card, and I've ever seen that card, and I showed people it in real life, like, yo, look, this guy made a card about a video of a guy yelling Pepe at a conference. And when I realized it was you, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Nathan would do that. And I just think it's hilarious. What is Yell Pepe? How did it start? And give me some background on that.
Yeah, so it was just in the Telegram chat, and you can see it today. Like, I mean, I still am absolutely flabbergasted that you can like go back to the very first message in the Rare Pepe chat where Mike's just like, you know, hey guys. But yeah, just at some point, the chat was really buzzing, like when Rare Pepe submissions were open and stuff. And yeah, this guy just posted. It goes like the same as it is on the card. Really, the guy was like, I'm deep undercover. Like I sort of know it off by heart. I'm deep undercover at a Bitcoin conference. And then someone says Yell Kek or Yell Pepper Kek. I think it was Rare Pepe News, and Bench is in there as well. And yeah, he just does it. And it's just absolutely wicked. So there's also a subasset of that, which is yellpepe.yellpepe, I think, where it's just the video. So yeah, he just posted that video in the chat, and man, I just absolutely died. I mean, a lot of people did, and a lot of people just were sending him cards. I just sent him like one of each of my cards. I was like, that's so cool. And then yeah, just thought it's got to be commemorated. So I made a card out of it. But I got in contact with him and messaged him on Telegram and on Twitter, I think, just saying, hey man, like, I'm going to make this into a card. Like, let me know, I'll send you the supply. And he didn't reply. And he didn't reply on Twitter or Telegram. And then a little bit later, he disappeared. And I only found out like maybe like a year or two later. I mean, a year or two ago, so like years later, that it actually died from like some chronic ill he'd had. Like he must have had it at the time, because it probably wasn't long after. But it turns out his name's Nathan as well. So I was like, wow, no way. Like this guy, Nathan. Like, yeah, so it was pretty cool. But like, yeah, also kind of yeah, kind of a sad story. But I mean, his Twitter still exists, and you can go and say hi to him on his Twitter. Obviously, he won't reply, but no, he's out there. He's out there. His spirit's out there, screaming keck at all the conscious meanderings. Sorry, I'm getting arty. This is what happens when you live in Brighton too long. Yeah, that's Rare Pepe, basically.
Yeah, I think that story is incredible, and definitely a big rest in peace to him, because that was, I mean, that was ballsy, and everybody looks, the face he makes when everybody looks back in this, and this whole ethos of trolling at the time, and I just like the way you animated it, you know. And you know what? It's still kept alive. Have you seen the video of Damien yelling Pepe at the Bitcoin conference, and everybody looking at him?
Yeah, I did a subasset of that one as well. So there's a subasset Pepe Bitcoin Miami 2023, and so yeah, Damien's one's there too as a subasset. And there was another guy as well that at another conference that I still have yet to make into a card. So I'm just kind of slacking off on.
Oh, it happened a third time? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was another one. Yeah, I mean, still the original is like the most epic. It's just that tiny room that he's in, and he's so close to everyone, and he screams it so loud. It's unbelievable. It's hard to beat. But I've been to like conferences. Like, I mean, the conferences in the UK were like that, like tiny rooms that are just in some like classroom of a school or a function room. I remember like going to an Ethereum workshop that was ran by Vinay Gupta, who's like a really big like Ethereum guy, or was. And you know, they would just at that point they would just like come around and talk to 20 people. That was just what they did. So I remember like just sitting in this cold room listening to Vinay Gupta talk, and then there was like some really dull workshop on like how to launch your own contract, which I wish I'd have listened to more at the time, but like it was actually cool in real life. But yeah, I wish I'd screamed Pepe at the top of my voice in one of them.
At an Ethereum comp, they would have canceled you at that point.
They needed, well, yeah, I mean, like they were so small at that point. It probably would have been fine. They probably would have loved it. They needed all the people they could get.
Yeah. So you're into Pepe's. We're glossing over because you made a bunch more. I'm just reading them off here. You got Rare Template, Tomato Pepe, a Grail, Pepistry, which is like the tapestry you did that looks so clean. Is that Photoshop or is that real life? Because if you sewed a Pepe and Wojak into that in a tapestry, that's epic in itself. I hope there's a physical. So
yeah, there is a physical, but the card came first and it was photoshopped. So I actually, like, when I photoshopped it, I actually took a little copy of one of the stitches on the Bayo tapestry, and like basically like drew it stitch by stitch. And then like at a conference here in the UK, I just met someone randomly and told them about my Rare Pepes, and they were like, I showed them the Rare Pepes, and they were like, oh, this is interesting. I showed them Pepistry. They were like, oh, you have to talk to my friend. So we went and talked to her friend, and her friend was like basically like a fashion designer person, and she was like, yeah, I can for you. So basically, like, I got her to make a copy of Pepistry, and she did an amazing job of it, and she even like researched the original like method of stitching that they used and had copied it. So yeah, like it's in my room at the moment in my house, hanging up. Is this like just this amazing tapestry thing? I like promised her that I would sell and give her a cut of the money from selling it, but I can't let it go.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I bet you, especially now that Pepes are kind of seen as these historic NFTs, I think that would probably auction for a lot. And but I know the pain of not wanting to let things go.
Yeah.
All around me right now, if you could see my room, I've got Pepelangelo paintings. I've got Pepe 2 Dope by Zero G. I got Pepe Edibles by Darky.
Yes.
I can't let any of those go, man. I got the rare sets by like. Okay, maybe I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. But recently, about a month ago, I had a girl over, and I was like excited to show her all the Pepe stuff, and she didn't give a shit about the Pepe stuff, and she went straight to my little Pokemon collection. She's like, "I like this," and I was like, "No, but the Pepes are so much cooler." But let's just say that relationship didn't end up working out. But
of course, well, no, you've got to get yourself a proper wife, Jack. You can't settle for anything less.
No, I'm kidding. It didn't work out for other reasons, but I was just kind of bummed. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, these Pepes are so much cooler. But so Pepe is huge for that. There's other projects going on at Counterparty at the time. There's Spells of Genesis, but Rare Pepe was one that anybody could really submit.
Yeah.
And then a little bit later, you started this project that I kind of want to read exactly what I wrote, because I had someone help me write it, even though it's a sentence or two. But I think it's really accurate for. I don't think that many people really know about Kaleidoscope, and I think it's really remarkable what you started there. And I wrote about it. I said it was created by Nathan Sonic and is largely regarded as possessing a unique mysteriousness. Can you comment on why that might be the case for Kaleidoscope?
I think it's just like there's this weird mishmash of, especially early on, there was like a weird mishmash of like creative types that like, I don't know, we were like half mimetic, half into the memes and half into like experimenting with blockchain stuff, and like also, well, maybe another half if you can have 150% into like just um, pissing around. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to describe really. It's just such a weird mixture of stuff that's like feels like weird subconscious meanderings of a blockchain thing that like, yeah, I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Well, I guess I'll fill in people that don't really know. It's Kaleidoscope started out as a project where any submission was accepted.
Yeah.
And from what I heard in the early days, you manually kind of added them, but later it
Yeah.
became a script, and it's just it would get automatically accepted. And you mentioned on Zero G that a lot of people were making Pepes that were getting rejected, and other people were making cards for other projects, and they just weren't getting accepted. Like, well, I mean, I have this, Kaleidoscope. You can always submit here because it will get accepted no matter what, no matter what. Of course, if it doesn't show anything, illegal or ridiculous that you need to delete. But I remember seeing that and if you find yourself in the Kaleidoscope chat in those days, it was crazy, man. It was like that was like where like the counterculture degens, and you guys were just no rules. It was it was so fun in those days. It still really is.
Yeah, I mean it's quiet now, isn't it? But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean that was part of the reason why it started. Really, half of it was rejects, and it felt sad to me, especially because I mean I was seeing these rejects, and a lot of them were still, I thought, really cool, and I didn't want them to just disappear and not ever be blockchain. And there was also like people making stuff that wasn't even part of any project. I mean, there was this guy Emmanuel. Emmanuel was like one of the main reasons why I started Kaleidoscope. He just kept putting out assets and like attaching this to them, and they just didn't apply to anything else that was going on Counterparty. And I just thought they were great, and he had a great creative mind. And then there was people like Wampum and like Cornholio and Carsonated and stuff, and yeah, they were just doing all sorts of fun things that didn't have a home. So yeah, I just started building it, and then eventually at one point, so Bitcoin. So I started building it maybe in like November, December 2017, and then in January 2018, Bitcorns dropped, and I was like, wow, Bitcoins is really cool. And that's sort of like, I was only like half-assed building Kaleidoscope until Bitcoins came about. And then once Bitcoins came about, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to like make something proper. And so, well, proper in inverted commas, it's never proper. But yeah. And I think then by like March time, I had it ready. And the first notification I dropped about it was in the Bitcoins chat, and Dan was a bit pissed off at first before he realised what was going on. And then he became my biggest supporter, which was really cool. But yeah, I dropped a message in the chat, and I was like, there was like rejects there, and I was like, hey, if you didn't get accepted in the Bitcoins, you can like send them to Kaleidoscope, submit them there, like we accept everything. And Dan was like, what? He private messaged me. He's like, what this? Like, I don't want you dropping weird links in my chat. And I was like, oh, please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. But no, he looked into it, and then yeah, and then was a massive supporter. And it was him who started like the whole phrase, there's always Kaleidoscope. So like, you know, whenever there was then a Bitcoin reject, I'd always just say there's always Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, two aspects of that. There's a lot to comment on there for people that weren't there, didn't understand. But the fact that somebody was making art and it wasn't going in a collection at that time was like really rare.
Yeah.
And I found Kaleidoscope and I was like, oh, I saw the point instantly, and I was like, this is conglomerating a lot of these art pieces into you know, a central collection. And I mean, do you want to talk about like the first asset, Kaleidoscope? Because I find that on its own a really interesting art piece, because you have a couple different issuances of it, and you had the ASCII art, and you did this. And if people don't know, I found this out actually pretty recently, that people were doing ASCII art on transactions in Bitcoin long before counterparty colored coins, all of that. And so I thought that was a good reminiscent kind of like throwback of that earlier time when people were just putting art on the blockchain just for the sake of art, right? Not to tokenize it.
Yeah. Again, like, I can't even remember why I specifically like made it an ASCII thing. I don't know if I knew about like the ASCII Len Sassman and, you know, all of those things like put in the Bitcoin blockchain at that time, because I think at that time, like, there wasn't any of these like NFT historians like yourself, or, you know, there wasn't people who'd put this story together and who'd gone back through all these chains and looked at all this stuff. So yeah, I don't think I even knew about the ASCII stuff. I think again it was just like something that I thought was cool, and I wanted to do something that was ASCII, and it ended up being the Kaleidoscope thing. And I somehow can't even remember how it was working, but there was like an animation version of it. But yeah, a couple of different versions. And I'm not sure if it's working. Is it still working? Do you know if it's still working?
It's working. I just went to the Kaleidoscope asset, and there's that scary little warning on token scan that says, hey, this has HTML. But but it's a sick animation now, and there's a couple different you can go into the issuances tab on token scan and see, you can still just see all the different issuances you did. And
cool.
And I love that. There's something about updating the art on Counterparty that's not as common, I think, in Ethereum ordinals. I mean, obviously ordinals, you can't change it or anything, but because it's inscribed. But this aspect of being able to update the art and have it be a changing thing, I always thought was so cool.
Yeah, I totally love that idea, and I wanted that to be a part of Kaleidoscope as well. And like, I mean, if I was a better coder, I probably would have coded something into it where you can look back through the previous versions of the art as well. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I might be able to do it now. Like, I'm much better at coding than I was back then, and now with like all the AI help that you can get. But yeah.
So let's talk about. I mean,
the ethos. Yeah.
Let's talk about, like, Kaleidoscope seems to be some of the first or some of the earliest places that people were putting code in the token to do various things. Like, for instance, for me to put that interactive infographic in my token, I had to do the iframe in an HTML to point it to somewhere else. And I mean, I think you were looking back, you were kind of the first to start putting code. What did you experiment at those times, and what assets kind of stand out in your memory?
I do remember someone saying about how to put how to do an iframe, and like, you just do a site somewhere else and install it in an iframe, and you can have that as an asset. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Cornholio. But yeah, there was people already doing that, and I wanted to do it too. Yeah, I wish I could remember some of the assets that were doing it. But yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, sticking in an iframe turns out to be relatively easy, and you've just got to have a JSON file point at the iframe. To put an iframe pointing at the website that you put together, and you can do anything really. So yeah, there was a bunch of stuff that. Can you remember any of the assets that were like HTML ones?
No, I just remember you mentioning them. But if you dig through and find them, I would love, especially if they're super interesting. I mean, this project that I'm doing of kind of looking back at early Counterparty is an ever evolving project. I'm doing these spaces to learn new things, because there's always something more that I'm missing. Because Kaleidoscope is a mass. I mean, just Counterparty is a massive, community and environment, and there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of assets that I think you can dig deeper. But same with Kaleidoscope. Do you have a number of how many assets are in Kaleidoscope? Do you even know at this point? Because it's got to be thousands, more than thousands.
Yeah, well, we got up to about 3,000. So I don't think So like, I mean, in the first like few years, there was only like 500 assets, and it wasn't until the 2021 thing came along, and like everyone sort of started getting into NFTs, that the next like 2,000, 2,500 came along. So yeah, it was still pretty small until 2021. Just like looking now at some of the HTML ones. Oh, so yeah, there was some like, so some of the HTML stuff was like stuff where it would do something on the Kaleidoscope website itself. So like Wampum came up with some ideas. So, like there was like a sunglasses asset, and if you held the sunglasses asset in your wallet, you could like press a button, and he basically made a mask for every single asset that was on there, and like so that sunglasses would appear on them. It was like a massive amount of work.
Oh my
And
gosh, so
obviously
it's
that,
like a they live type sunglasses where you see the different. That's actually so
yeah,
cool. Holy crap.
yeah, yeah. And he did the same thing. He made a spliff for all of them as well. Like, so like basically you could press a button and they would all be smoking a spliff. Um, and then he was working on doing like a masks thing, and the masks are actually really cool, but like we never got them implemented. But yeah, I mean, it meant that I had to like code that into the Kaleidoscope website, but it was pretty cool. It was really good fun to do. Like obviously, when it wasn't like the 2021 bull run, so before that, it was like quiet enough for me to be able to just just go and fiddle for a few days like with the code to get that working.
Isn't that strange how it works after going through a couple cycles of Bitcoin? When it's a bull market, you're glued to your seat watching the new coins and trying to trade. But then on a bear market, you're like, well, I mean, might as well do some fun stuff. It's
Got some
interesting how
time
that
on my
cycle.
hands.
Yeah, it's interesting how that cycle happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice. It's nice to have that relief of like just yeah, being able to do your own thing for a bit, like in the quiet times.
So I want to talk about from what I've been told, I think I asked you about maybe a year ago when I started my research, is that the Kaleidoscope token, named Kaleidoscope, was kind of the original one,
Yeah,
but you started accepting anybody who wanted to put even earlier tokens, like historic tokens, BitRock and BitScissors, and
yeah,
you let them submit that into the collection too.
yeah,
I find that cool. It's like really cool that some of the older assets could now be a part of this one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so I added quite a few myself in the early days because that was also part of the ethos, was just to you know save these somehow. And the funny thing is, like one of the other things. So this is the thing that basically like pissed JDog off, and I'm really sorry about that, JDog. You could actually add an image for an asset that you didn't own. So there was no, basically, I just didn't put a check for asset ownership on the address. So when you basically like sign on to, like, when you log into Kaleidoscope with signing a message request, your address goes in there and they'll show you what balances you're holding. But when you submit an asset, it doesn't check your balance at all. It just adds your asset to the directory under the asset name that you've chosen. So like there was quite a few historic assets of other people's where I'd added their art. So I mean, Gorilla Glue, Skrilla had that early asset Gorilla, and there was no image attached to it at all. So I put that on there, and there was like a few like Rare Pepes, and one of them was another early Skrilla. Oh, Pepe two live Pepe, which is now in the Series Zero fake rares. Which is so Series Zero fake rares is the series for any fake rares that were basically Rare Pepe rejects. So before fake rares even started, and so yeah, basically I felt like I was responsible for some of those things, and I was taking care of them. And like since then. Some people have come back to me and said like, oh, we're gonna like take this back, please can you remove it. So like it was cool to have them for a bit, like, but Gorilla Glue's gone from Kaleidoscope now, and two live Pepe's gone as well. So but they've
That
gone back
is,
to their rightful homes, which is good. But I felt
yeah,
like we were looking after them while they were like waiting for a home.
I find that so interesting, these like digital assets, and you're kind of like taking care of them when they're not in a collection. Because like, again, I can't stress enough that when something wasn't a part of a collection, it was kind of lost and nobody really knew about it because there was no place to click through it and stuff. But
Yeah,
and then that non-restriction of being able to upload any asset even if it wasn't yours, it sounds like it was nefarious in some ways, because you might, people will be like, I didn't do that, what's going on? But then in the other ways, that Gorilla Glue is very historic. So that's a part of the story I didn't really know. And I find that incredibly interesting. And I bet you that really, because I talked with Rare a couple days ago about fake rares and people collecting early rejected cards, even though, because they were kind of like, they were heavily banned. People don't really realize how you would get banned from the Rare Pepe chat if you even mentioned something that wasn't a Rare Pepe.
Totally.
If you just said, "Oh, I like Bitcorns," they're like, "Well, that's a warning." Like you can't talk about Spells of Genesis in here. So talking about something, that's so interesting to me. But then, on the opposites, that's just like a dichotomy there that I find interesting. And I could see why it would piss J-Dog off, because he's trying to deal with the JSON of the and he's
when want something removing as well, they go to him first. They're like, hey, so like test was another one. We added the image for test, because basically when test came out, like 2 or 3 different people like put an image like just on their Twitter feed saying, "Oh, test," or whatever, and the one, "This is a test," on the blue background was the one that stuck. And we talked about it in the Kaleidoscope chat. We were like, "Oh, should we have this? Like, it should have an image. Let's just do it through Kaleidoscope." So we did it through Kaleidoscope, and then like maybe like a couple of months later, they'd sort of like got their act together, and they'd got their Discord, and they'd basically got like their group of investors, and I don't know, did they form a DAO or something like that? And they were like, "Oh, we need to get this like Kaleidoscope banner removed from the exchange." So they went to J-Dog, and J-Dog was like, "Talk to Nathan about it." And obviously then when I move it, J-Dog still has to go into his code and remove it from his stuff as well. So like, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think anybody holds it against you, but that's actually that's something I didn't know about Test, because I know Test it's like the first counterparty asset ever, and it was used for testing a decentralized exchange, and there was no image or any audio, and people argued in the HNFT community when it kind of got more well known that it's like, well, it's not an NFT because it doesn't have an image, or it was added later. But that's an interesting part of the history, that you guys added an image, and then he came back and goes, well, why not wait? Because what happened after that is when he came back, he said, well, why not the community if they want to add some more images to it? And the image now is kind of a GIF that goes through all the different community ones. He ended up choosing all of them, which I find super interesting. And I think he did.
It's really cool.
Really cool. And I think for distribution, he gave them out, or not gave them out. He sold them out for, I think it was around $1,000 at the time, maybe a little cheaper. You could see it all on chain, but I just find that community aspect of Test and the first asset, then the community wanted to like spruce it up, right, and make it look cool. And I think that's totally that's fucking awesome, and I don't know if you see that in many other communities. And but there's some older assets there too. I think I don't know. I think at one time was Olga. Olga wasn't a Kaleidoscope asset. Is that legit? Is that, or is that something JP Jensen wanted? Or
I think JP added that, because
that's cool.
I mean, it definitely wasn't me, but JP like approached me and was like, "Yeah, thanks for Kaleidoscope." And he added some of his, I don't know if you know, the 4 cards that were like the animals, like Jeanette and the
Weird and Wild
wolf.
Yeah.
So he added those to Kaleidoscope as well, and like, I met him at HNFT Fest and we hung out, and it was really cool. Like, he's such a lovely guy, JP. I'm just like, he's such a sweetheart. I'm chuffed that he's like into Kaleidoscope.
That is one of the most, I think that makes the fact that JP Jansen put it into Kaleidoscope, I think it makes it, not only Olga more historic, but Kaleidoscope more historic. And I got the opportunity I'm getting the opportunity to talk to him in a couple days. So I'm really excited. I'll bring that up because I'm about that. Cool. So it's just cool that Kaleidoscope includes some of these older assets, and people willingly wanted it to be, I mean, maybe not Test, right? But then with Olga, people really wanted to be a part of Kaleidoscope. And I just think Kaleidoscope is so underrated. Even writing about it and putting it on the timeline, I was like, "Uh-oh, this is now not secret anymore." I knew a little bit of. I wanted people to know about it though, and I think that overrides the idea of trying to keep things secret, because it always had that mysterious secret feel to it. I felt like I was in like the absolute, downtown or like hip area of the internet when I was in the Kaleidoscope chat. Some funny antics going on there. So I have this written down, series 0 fake rares that you looked after them, but you mentioned Bitcorns, and you made a couple Bitcoin cards. You seem to be like really influenced off of Bitcorns, and there was one aspect I'm kind of I'm kind of dumb, but I found out recently that the Bitcoin cards would actually change the way the game was played, but the community, submitted assets, and you have a few here that you submitted, such as let me go to my pepe.wtf. You have cornfetti, full corn, and corn soul, like a console that had the command line code on it. Tell me a bit about those, and did they change kind of like the aspects of the game at all with those cards?
Yeah, I don't know if mine did directly, but like all of those cards I talked to Dan about, although actually corn soul never got off the ground, but I think by that time it was already like right at the end and Dan was done with it. But when I put those cards out, I wanted to do something like with the HTML stuff like I've been doing on Kaleidoscope, but on the Bitcorns website. So you could click on them on the Bitcorns website and they would do something. And Dan was really cool about that. And he implemented them for both of full corn and cornfetti. So you can go onto the Bitcorns website and click on them. And, well, hopefully they still work, but full corn just turns the Bitcorns website like into like everything corn. It just like it changes the font and everything, and it gives you like a border of all corn stuff, and then cornfetti makes like a little confetti, like a little corn kernel confetti come down on the screen. But yeah, for cornfetti, like the idea was to. So there was like a special subasset for like the person who was the first to collect a full cob of cornfetti, and so a full cob of cornfetti was 600 cornfetti, and basically I airdropped cornfetti to all the people who were crops holders, and they basically like had to trade amongst themselves to try and get the full cob. And once they got the full cob, then they got the special card. But yeah, I mean, just a bit of fun, like nothing amazing, but then you get the cornfetti coming down as well. Actually, I'm not sure. It might be that you can only get the cornfetti coming down if you've got a full cob on the Bitcorns website. But I made it work on Kaleidoscope as well, so you could click on Kaleidoscope and you could go full corn on Kaleidoscope.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And if people don't know, we used to. I mean, it's pretty common in the Bitcoin community to call Bitcoin Bitcorn or just straight corn. So a lot of the Bitcoin and counterparty community were trying to stack corn, and and I find that that's actually a cool reference to the original kind of codes on Kaleidoscope that that you were mentioning, where a card, if you had it, like would change everybody to have glasses, and then your entry into Bitcoins was kind of this similar thesis of like, well, if you have this, it'll change the font, and that's incredible. That's really interesting because there's just so many experiments on Counterparty using tokens that I just don't think any other community really messed with like you did and other people did at that time, and that's so cool. So two of the cards kind of changed. What did Fullcorn do on the website? Do you remember, or did it have?
Yeah, the same. So that was the one which makes everything like corn. So it basically changed the fonts and the backgrounds into like just pictures of corn. So it just makes it go crazy corn. And there's like a really funny border of corn coming out the corners and stuff. So yeah, it just makes the website look really weird.
Man, I'm doing this research, and the more I research Bitcoins, the more I realize I faded Bitcoins, man.
Oh man, it was like Bitcoins. I actually missed the very beginning of it, and like I'm still gutted to this day that I wasn't there from the beginning. But there was like the ICO, which was the initial corn offering, where like basically you just had to add your name to a list, and then Dan just sent you some crops. Yeah, so I missed that. I had to buy into crops later on when they'd already like pumped, although the pump was small back then. But yeah, it was just one of the best communities, and I mean, it still is great. Like there's just so many great people. And have you ever listened to Crop Talk?
No. Oh god,
my
there's more
God.
crop talk. I've heard unconfirmed transactions from Dan, but
so Crop Talk is it's on Spotify. I think you can listen to it on Spotify. There's two guys, Worm and Free Dude, from the chat, and they basically like just did this podcast, and it's hilarious. It's just like half an hour just talking about what's happened in Bitcoins, like that week or that month, however often they did it. And they did one like not so long ago as well. Like they did like a little recap thing, so it's really good fun to listen to that for the history. And so Worm was really into Kaleidoscope, but Free Dude like didn't know anything about it. Talk a little bit about Kaleidoscope on Crop Talk, and it's really funny just listening to Fredo try and get his head around it. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, that's
maybe I find it funny than most other people, but
well, this is exactly why I'm doing this interview, because every time I talk with individuals from projects or this era, there's always something else that I'm missing, and I think that's like the beauty of the history of Counterparty. I'll have to look that up. Crop talk. It makes sense though, right? I mean, look, like
I'll try and get a link for you.
Yeah, but like if Bitcorns was this kind of idle game that you tried to like get more Bitcoin crops, and it was so complicated. I can't wait. I won't get into it too much because I'm going to talk with Dan Anderson in a few days about it.
Yeah.
And but it's just an incredible project. I think it's so underrated.
Totally.
Dan Anderson relates it as an on-chain game. So
yeah,
and I see that. I mean, the fact that you could, if you owned a certain asset like yours and confetti with that, it reminds me of Rare Cherry, right? Like those old, like the screen, the screen gives you a cool animation, and man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So
it's massively underrated, but then also it's like kind of hard to get into if you haven't been part of it. Like it was such a it was such a fun thing to like be part of, and to like just dip into the chat every day and see what the stupid things people are talking about. And it's like, I mean, there's some great people, like obviously I know Subterranean, like he's come into the chat and he's just done his research, and he just immediately like got it, and it was great to have him in the Bitcoins chat and stuff. So like, yeah, there's some people who get it, but I think for other people who haven't lived it, who come to it when it's already finished, it's kind of hard to get your head around, really. But yeah, it's a shame that that's the case, because it just is great. It is what. So that's one of my favorites. Like Bitcoins was probably my favorite counterparty thing that ever happened.
Yeah. There's the style in your cards, this old, like, what is it, like Commodore 64 style, old, like, that old like
ASCII stuff.
That old textile. I think that pervades through a lot of your art. And if you look at the Kaleidoscope website, that is like I always loved the design of Kaleidoscope website. Can you talk a little bit how it was designed and how cards kind of popped up, and it has this weird animation of how they pop up, and can you give me a little kind of how did you code that? How did that come about?
Yeah, I think that's part of the pop-up animation thing is partly why it's not working now, I think, because since, I mean, 3,000 assets isn't much, but I haven't ever put it on a decent server. Like I should really like get it a dedicated server, and I think just with it trying to load that card up with that animation, it's just, it just overloads it, and you can only scroll down like once or twice, and then it sort of breaks. I think it's just the server can't serve it. So, but yeah, I love that old aesthetic, and I worked with it like on a few things before, or like just tried to do like some sort of like old computer simulation looking stuff before. And so I just had loads of like examples of stuff that I was going for, and I just worked off them. But like I say, I'm not a great coder. I'm not a great coder even now, and I was terrible back then. I mean, Kaleidoscope was like the first website I ever put together. So yeah, it's a mess, and that's part of the reason why it's like for me to like go back and fix it. It's just messy code. It needs a complete rewrite, basically. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a job. And then when it's got a complete rewrite, it needs a decent server. So there's also the costs involved in that. So, but yeah, the aesthetic was just something I was into.
Yeah, I think it just kills it. Even the little logo, I have it loaded up in my browser right now. There's a little, the K for Kaleidoscope on the top. It's like 3D old pixel style. And another aspect of Kaleidoscope people don't realize is that it's home to a lot of kind of internal cards of people commenting on other aspects of the space, right? So if I load in right now, there's these funny J-Dog memes, or the Baldamoto card I'm seeing for Nakamoto, but he's bald, and then and it's almost like I'm just scrolling right now. I mean, like just like Malay, the guy with the chainsaw, like all these memes, and Pepe Finney, and I mean, this is just like this is like this is like, and I don't take this the wrong way, but like it kind of feels like, you know, when you scroll through pump.fun now and you see just all these memes come up and people are trying to make a coin for the most recent political thing that Janet Yellen said yesterday or 2 seconds ago, or I think Kaleidoscope was kind of the early area of doing that, and that you could just kind of watch this feed. Like I remember you go into the Kaleidoscope chat and then it would automatically post what was minted, and then people would be like, oh my god, who did this, you know, like who put this up. And I you know, it's almost, I almost don't want people to know. Yeah, I want to keep it as just an art thing, because it almost feel weird in the future if people look back and want to collect some of this stuff, because for me it was just like this live feed of like just anything that was happening in the world or in the Counterparty community or etc. And I just think that's remarkable. I enjoy it so much. I just want to bring light to that project, because I think there's something about it that's so different than every other project. It almost, Kaleidoscope makes Rare Pepe feel really serious, you know?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm so into pump.fun. Like, when I saw that website, I was like, yes, this is cool. But obviously, like, it makes actually doing things on there pretty hard and all the like things shaking around. But yeah, I mean, I just love that sort of stuff. Like, it's just so much fun. But yeah, just
okay, go ahead.
Wish it would work.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any rush, and
yeah,
but I think that the community would love it if, you know, if it started up again. And I think to be honest, I saw Skrilla asking in the chat, like, is fake rares and fake commons kind of the longest, you know, collection to be accepting submissions? And at first I was like, well, I don't really know. And I looked back and I'm like, no, it's Kaleidoscope. It's Kaleidoscope is the place where
only if we manage to start accepting submissions again. Like, if I can get the submissions working again, then yeah, we'll accept that crown. But like,
and people were like,
that happens, I think fake rares has to have it, really.
Yeah, well, people were like building off each other. So like on Pump.fun, I remember there was a small era for Zin, right? The nicotine pouches, and you'd have like Zin or like Osama Bin Laden or like you know, like just all these like really funny references. And I think that happened in Kaleidoscope too. Someone would admit something, and then
totally.
someone would be like, oh, I gotta make another one that's like that. And there was these metas that would happen like over the months and years. People would be commenting on each other and influenced by each other. And again, it was just for the fuck of it, for fun of it. Like people, there was no rules for distribution. No one really cared to sell these, and some people did. And it worked out, but it was just this like grassroots funny art movement that I don't think was ever achieved anywhere else at that time. So just look, and it's weird how we're looking back now, Nathan. Aren't we old now? How many years ago was this?
Yeah,
you know, right?
It's so funny, man. Yeah, like this is ancient stuff now, historic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it is funny, like, you know, what I was saying earlier about like when I was getting into Bitcoin in 2014, like feeling that I'd massively missed out on something, and I was like super late to this party. And then you only have to be around for a few years, and I mean that's what I've been telling people all along. Like when people like say, "Oh, you know, I've missed out," like everything's already happened. I'm like, you just get into it now, wait a few years, and you're going to be an OG, like.
Yeah, somebody, Swalja came up and talked during the Skrilla set, and he told me that he's like, you came in 2017, you're considered an OG, and I was like, I can tell you for sure that I'm not, and that you know, Looney and Adam B. Levine and Krellenstein and all these early guys were OGs. But the funny thing is, if you ask all them if they're OGs, they're like, hell no. Like the people before me were OGs, and then it probably goes all the way back to Satoshi himself, right? So that's something.
He's the only OG.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever too late to get into cryptocurrency, and then just, you know, start be involved. And there's something about Kaleidoscope that I love, is that you accepted not just any kind of art piece, but any type of asset, named, Subasset, stamp, right? You have anything and there's a lot of really cool stamps in there too that I find incredible. I love stamps. That pixel art style is so fun. And it's gotten a lot. It's gotten a lot more advanced now. It's not just pixel art. People do some really intricate stuff now.
Yeah, some of the SVG stuff's crazy. Just shout out to Arwin in the chat there. I can see him.
We love Arwin. I got to meet. I got to hang out with him a few times. I met him in Paris, and that little, in his profile picture right now, that little Pepe, I got to see that. I took photos of that, and that little, it's like a knitted Pepe. I love that. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, you were Paris Pepe's in Paris, weren't you?
Yeah, I should
We've
not.
talked about that, haven't we?
Maybe I should not have dug deep into the credit card as much as I did to go to Paris. I had never been to Europe. I think the only French
Oh, no way.
I think the only French word I knew was like Mon chéri amour, and because of the
Ah,
songs. And
sweet.
but
You can get a long way with just that.
yeah, I think I got away with enchanté.
Nice.
But yeah, that was a big like personal step for me. Not only to just I went alone, and I was like, I have to
Oh,
go.
wow, okay.
I have to go. You know,
Yeah.
this dumb American showing up in Paris, but that was one of the, I think it was like a bucket list event for me, and on to other events now, NFT NYC, and about to go present this research over at the Counterparty event in Miami coming up next week.
Oh, cool.
Hosted by Tatiana Moroz.
Ace.
And there's some really cool people that are going to be there. I'm really excited for that, and I'm just excited to present all this research and let people know. I think that the scene that's most of the events I've gone to is like people that like, you know, you and Arwen and people that have been here for a while. So that scene, I'm gonna have to like introduce them to like, hey, there's some crazy cultural art that happened that you guys are not aware of. So I'm probably gonna sound like a nerd of like, well, on Counterparty, you know.
Yeah, do it. Sound like a nerd. It's the best way.
100%. So
it's great though when you get involved in something like that, like, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, I mean, Kaleidoscope's given me like just a great way to be able to talk to a lot of these people who I really admire. You know, like just being able to talk to Joe Looney, like, because I made Kaleidoscope, it's just like really, really cool. I know Joe would probably talk to me anyway. He'd talk to anyone if you approach it, but it's just like, yeah, having that thing, and you know, you with having this like historic timeline thing is just so cool, and it just like, it's so nice that it just locks you into the community, and you know, it just, once you contribute, the community gives back to you, and it's just so nice.
That's 100% the case. I remember in Pepe's in Paris, there was that whole stamps drama, and you know, I don't want to, you know, comment on it too much, because the main point is that despite all this online drama in Telegram, when we showed up to Pepe's in Paris, we didn't give a fuck. We still broke bread, drank wine, smoked weed, smoked spliffs, and it didn't. Once you meet people in real life, none of that shit really matters. And
yeah, totally.
Everybody I've met in the Counterpart, there's not one person I've met that has not been awesome and cool, and everyone's so excited to meet each other too. I remember I met Net IDX, and he did a card called Rare Pepe, and I met him in real life, and when he told me that, I like looked at him differently and was like, I need to shake your hand. This is so cool. Oh my God, it's one of my favorites. And everyone's so stoked on like each other's art, and like it's crazy. A lot of the counterpart people have traded with each other for years with never meeting them in real life.
Yeah, totally.
You just, you know, their on-chain art, you know, their reputation, you know, their address, and you could just drop people's stuff because you just know, oh, he's the artist of that. I'm gonna drop that to him right now, you know. And I don't, you know, I think you don't see that as much, and there's something about this community that I think I always come back to it. It feels like a home to me. I get scared. I go out and hang out in Seoul, or, you know, you spend too many hours on Pump.fun. You want to come back to the fun stuff. You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yes, definitely.
But so I want to move on to like what you did kind of after Kaleidoscope. And it sounds like you got really into generative art, which, I mean, makes sense because you're already messing with coding. You've already generated Rare Cherry as a Rare Pepe. And what did you do after? And what are you doing right now?
Yeah, so I mean, I just got super into NFTs like as soon as, I mean, Crypto Kitties came out, and then Crypto Punks, and which I didn't get, by the way. I did get some Crypto Kitties. I was just like, hey, this is fun. Missed out on Crypto Punks, and then I don't know if you know Dada.nyc, but they like started putting stuff out, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. And I sort of put myself on the periphery of that group, and they were just a bunch of proper hippie artist types, and I just got really into the NFT stuff. And when the generative art stuff started coming out, art blocks and FX hash, I mean, that's just totally up my street, really, and has been, you know, my whole life. I just was totally besotted with it, so dived headlong into that. And you know, I'm lucky enough to have been around long enough to be able to live off this stuff now, which is really cool. So I kind of spend my days like in bull runs like this. I spend my days like keeping an eye on the markets and trading some stuff, and I still buy way too many NFTs. But but then when I have quiet time, I'm just busy like coding random things, just for fun, really, just fun things that I want to make. So like, I've made a really, I mean, my stuff, Dave, my stuff is still really stupid. Like, so I've made this like paint app, um, like called Journey Paint, and like I draw these really stupid images with it. And so like, in fact, it's Arwin that kind of, well, it's kind of Arwin that spurred me on to do this a little bit. It came from I don't know if you know Floony Bins. I don't know if it would be considered.
Oh, I am. It's on my list to add to the collection. I have a long list of things to add, and the more I knew that I was going to do these interviews and find out more stuff too. So I kind of
I've got
waited
a
a
few
little
other ones
bit.
I've got to mention to you actually that you might be missing.
Oh, please, yeah, mention them.
Yeah. So well, I'll tell you after this. So yeah, Floony Bin was like, so there's like the Rare Pepe asset, like Joe Looney, which is like Looney Bin Laden or something like that. And it's like Joe Looney, but his face on Osama bin Laden, and it's kind of a weird, it's a very mimetic card. And then there was a fake rare of it, which was done by a guy called Boo Earns, and Boo Earns, it turns out he's a old like school friend of Joe Looney's, and he made this like fake rare of the Joe Osama bin Laden card. But then he wanted to do a bunch of Subassets. He asked a bunch of people to like make their own Flooney cards. So Flooney is a fake loony, and it became a thing. And so my one was actually a little paint app card where it basically had all the little assets from little pictures from like all the sub assets that had gone before, all broken up into little bits, and you could paint them on a canvas, like on a little card canvas, and then you could save it and make your own Flooney bin. So my card was this like prototype of this stupid like paint app that I ended up making, like because mainly because I made this make your own Flooney bin, and Arwin was like, "This is cool," and Arwin just churned out like image after image after image, and each one of them was like absolutely hilarious. And like, I'm just like, they were so funny. And he's really good at it as well. So I was like, I'm going to make this into more of a fully fledged paint app. And so I did that. And Arwin hasn't used it at all, by the way. He needs to get on that. But yeah, I use it now to make my own shitty pieces of art. But you know, it's just fun. I just really enjoy it. I enjoy making myself laugh. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think the world kind of realizes. You mentioned something back there where, you know, you were early into Bitcoin and you were also early into these NFTs, and in that kind of 2021 boom, it sounds like it changed your life, and now you can kind of, you have this freedom element. I was lucky that it changed my life for about a year, and then, or a year and a half, and then I was like, oh shit, I forgot about bills, you know, and I forgot how much it costs to live, and so that's why I kind of tokenized this timeline to be like, hey, well, I'm you know, I wasn't as lucky as everyone else, but I can do this really cool work, and maybe people can, you know, buy it and donate it, but you don't have to. I could put all the work public anyway. So
yeah, that's really cool. Good ethos of it. I massively appreciated. But yeah, you definitely deserve something from it. But I mean, you'll find that like a lot of that comes from just now being just as I was saying, having this thing that you give to the community starts giving back to you, and good things.
There's an entire ethos in Bitcoin of proof of work. That's where, you know, the technicals come from. But in Counterparty, there's an incredible ethos of proof of work of your art, and
Totally.
and people recognize that. I mean, I can't describe how amazing it feels to like make something and then have someone be like, I have to get it, and then boom, they send you Bitcoin, and you're like, wow, like they just, you know, they saw the work and were stoked on it, and that is, there's no other real place, I think, that, you know, people sell their paintings on the streets and stuff. There's nothing like this community, and it's a little more common now, but it was so revolutionary at the time that anyway, that's just amazing how much Counterparty has changed a lot of lives. I've seen that, and just NFTs and Bitcoin in general, right?
I've just got to interject there. For those of you that don't know, like, if you're listening right now, or if you're listening sometime in the future, like Dave has put timeline into an XCP asset, and the asset has like the timeline itself, which is like an interactive, like this mad interactive timeline that you can just dive into and expand with all sorts of crazy information. It's even got like the improvement like proposals like throughout the years, like as part of the timeline, along with the NFTs and the projects and stuff. It's really nuts. And then there's this like whole 18-minute documentary that he's edited from all sorts of random interviews from all sorts of people like over the years. It's really cool. And it's tokenized, and he's selling it through Scarcity right now. And so yeah, check it out. And also check out his interview with Emblem Vaults all about it as well, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm shilling on your behalf there, Dave.
Well, thanks.
You didn't shill hard enough.
Yeah, I mean, I've do it. I've tried. I've never put this much effort into a token before. Before I, with Breitbart Pep and some of my other commons and even my first fake rare, I just kind of made it, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I made it!" Like whatever. Yeah. And I think the first fake rare I did, I got like 3 sales or whatever, and I just, that one was a really personal piece for me. But this one was like, okay, I gotta go all hands on deck because I need to pay off this credit card because but the but no, that means a lot. It saves me from shilling it, and when the idea came about, and I basically saw Kane Mayfield's Fake Rare Dust, the album.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of my first kind of introductions on you can really put in like a lot of HTML in there, and he put an entire music player in the token.
Yeah.
And you could look at the lyrics and listen to it and like go through, and it was all custom, with a cool player and like art in the background. And I saw that, and I knew it was possible to put my timeline in there. I just knew it was, I didn't know how to do it yet, but I knew it was possible. And I talked to Kane, and he's like, well, you need to make it as cool. You need to make it as the best it could possibly be, and be proud to stand next to it. And that was really good advice, because then I was like, well, yeah, I could make this documentary, because there's all this really good clips that I've been seeing. There's your interviews and interviews with just all these people. And I was like, man, people haven't seen this yet. And I really think they need to. So I edited that in 18 minutes was like it could have been 45. I mean, but I wanted to make it quick. So
I would have watched 45 minutes of it as well. But yeah, no, short and sweet and snappy. Yeah.
Yeah. It took me, for those 18 minutes, it took me like 2 months, because I dropped everything on the timeline. I originally wanted to do all 10 years, but I realized that after 2018, it was, there's so much data and media, and that it was overwhelming. And most of the time was actually me trying to get the years right and the facts straight, while also keeping it really short. So it took me a month and a half. There's legit so many blood, sweat, tears, coffee, and cigarettes that went into that. So, but I'm glad you enjoy it, man. It means a ton to me, and
it's really cool.
I just have a really big respect for the community now. The more I learn about the history of Counterparty and HNFTs, and there's just, I don't think people realize yet how much is like not found and not researched yet.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of make that apparent. And I don't know, I might be rambling here, but I was just kind of pissed off about other people that were doing research and then would like pick 1 or 2 tokens only that they probably had. And I don't own most of these early stuff. I don't own Football Coin or I want to, but I don't, but I got to write about it, because it's just, this stuff is so interesting. I think I own like 1 Bitcoin, but the more I wrote about Bitcoins, I was like, this is fucking incredible. Like, Jesus Christ, Dan. And
send you some stuff.
Oh, that would be much appreciated. I'll send you back some stuff, and I'll check to make sure that that's another cool aspect of Counterparty, that people just send you, just like, oh, you're new, hit me with the Bitcoin address and I'll send you something. And that's how I get people into it these days too. And I just say, I'll send you a Breitbart Pep, and then people get stoked. They like see it in their phone and their wallet, and they're like, oh man, like this is so cool. And it's just a cool way to bring people into the entire decentralized atmosphere by giving them a cool gift of something you made, right? So well, I mean, I think I've heard, because you talked about getting into generative art, I think it sounds like you kind of got into the Tezos scene as well. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I still really like Tezos. I mean, it's probably like, apart from Counterparty, it's probably one of my favorite like blockchains to interact with. Like, obviously the community is very different, and like but in terms of like just usability and stuff, like Tezos, like just using object.com is just like totally wicked, and the FX hash is like just really cool website, and some of the stuff that was on there was great. still is great. So yeah, just like that's probably my next favorite. And like it's kind of funny to see like all the hype around like base and Solana, and I love that. Don't get me wrong. Like I love all the base. I love it all. Like there's nothing that I can rule out. But like when I am like posting art and trying to put something somewhere, Tezos is always just the easiest place to be. Even though like none of my art sells on any platforms. The only thing of mine that sells is like my Rare Pepes. But you know, I'm lucky that I don't have to worry about selling my art in a way. So that I can just post where I want and enjoy posting stuff up.
I think the world would be changed if everyone around us had that same freedom and kind of just could post art and comment on the world or
yeah,
you know, social politics or social, you know, conceptions. That's the dream, right?
Yeah, totally.
So
hopefully
definitely,
the robots can do all the work for us. So that we
yeah, I
can all,
would
like,
love that,
chill out
right?
and just post art.
Take my soul, AI trade for me, or whatever you do nowadays. But anything kind of more recent you want to shill, or something that, you know, that you're working on now that you want to tell the people about?
Oh, I mean, like, if I was going to shill something, it probably wouldn't be my own stuff. Like, I'll probably shill. I mean, like, I see Robinera and Dial in the chat as well. I'd like just. Oh, and Mortylen, yo, yeah, I'd chill all of their stuff. Like, I mean, like some great artists, obviously, and Arwin, like whatever he's doing. Yeah, I mean, I got really into stamps. Obviously, like that was a big problem for the counterparty community. Yeah, love stamps, and Dial made some wicked stamps. So I've tried to collect some of Dial's stuff. What else are we talking about? What am I watching right now? I mean, like I'm keeping an eye on. Oh, so like one of my favorite artists just dropped something yesterday. Kim Assendorf. He's like a generative artist, and like I mean, I've been like totally hyped about this work that he dropped for like months now. I've been like, I'll drop this soon, and I've been like, when? But yeah, he dropped this like really mad thing called Pixel Dex, but well, it's expensive, but but it's really good. It's just so there's like a currency tied to it, and each single unit of the currency is a pixel, and you basically you buy like this dex and you deposit pixels into it, and like then the amount of pixels you deposit like moves around in this dex, and it's just it's really weird. It's a cool thing to check out anyway. So like,
is it similar to like r/place with where you could try to change a pixel? You remember? I don't know if you were aware of that.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that one very well. Yeah, there's a Rare Pepe that was like Pepe Place. Do you know that one?
Yeah, and I remember when r/place, or like it was a website you could go to, and I remember going like with my school friends looking at it and being like, oh, you can change the pixel everyone in the world, and there's these, you know, flags of it was massive. It was like, you know, 20,000 pixels by 20,000. It was massive.
Yeah,
and,
did you change some pixels on it?
I think I did.
Cool.
I must have clicked something, but it was cool that the Pepe community went in there, made a little Pepe, and then minted that little moment of r/place. And I love that. I think that's there, man. There's just so many fun things that happen, experiments, and just kind of you know, for the fun of it type stuff that is just so cool to look back on. But
yeah, so there was a guy called Reagan. Do you know Reagan? He's like part of Dank Rares and Bobos, and he actually made the bot that's in the Telegram chat for Kaleidoscope, and quite a few other Telegram chats use his bot. And Reagan ran a little thing that was called Pixel Pepes. Oh no, Pixel Pals it was, and basically like it was kind of a very similar thing, but like with cryptocurrencies. But I mean, it was just us lot like making fools of ourselves and being really bad at it. And I think the canvas was only like 128 pixels or something. So it's like it ends up being a piece of pixel art, and we all completely spazzed out on it. Arwen happened to be the biggest spaz on that. We all tried to coordinate to make a lovely image, and it ended up awful. But you know, that's part of the fun. And another one to check out if you like that, you have to check out basepaint.xyz or XYZ as you Americans say. But so basepaint, so this has been going for like a year and a bit now, a year and a few months, and it's on Base, and it's another similar thing. You buy like certain amount of tokens that give you a pixel allowance to draw on a shared canvas. But they have like a palette of anywhere between 3 and 6 colors, 3 and sometimes maybe 8 colors. So it's really limited color palette, and they do a whole canvas every day. And there's like about 150 artists contributing, and they basically like they get a color palette like given to them, and they decide on what they're going to draw, and then they spend 24 hours drawing that, and once it's finished, it's put up for minting as an open edition, and the mint's open for 24 hours for the next 24 hours, and then it closes. And man, some of the art that these guys are doing is absolutely ridiculous. It is so good, and they're churning out one of these canvases every day, and it's like a communal effort. It's just nuts.
That sounds, I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
That
it's
sounds
really
so
good.
fun. But I mean, it's just a great example of I think in the early days in Counterparty, people were, Bitcoin maxi, but the more I talk to, almost every artist that was a Counterparty artist, I mean, it's very common for people to go and mint on other chains and try stuff out. And it sounds like you're
Yeah,
keeping the experimentation going and excited about things that seem to be breakthroughs. And that sounds,
yeah,
that's cool. I feel like a whole gallery of that would be so fun to look at too. Like in real life, to be
yeah,
like, oh, I was a part of this when I did these pixels and did the shading for this. That'd be cool.
yeah.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's been we've gone through a lot.
Yeah.
I love the history, and I just enjoy your art and a Kaleidoscope. I would love to see it, be run up again and have people submit, or on the
Yeah,
other side, maybe close it and say, hey, this was a time period that I love it when
yeah,
stuff stays open personally, but if there comes a time when you might close it and be like, hey, this is the end of that, and move on to
yeah,
something. So
yeah. I've been wrestling with that like for the last like couple of years, really. Like, but hopefully, if I'm going to do that, I will leave it in like a working state. So whatever happens, I'll try and get it fixed.
well, either way, what you've done so far is now considered historic, especially in my opinion.
Thanks,
and
man.
and yeah, so
Respect.
I'll kind of wind it down here. I don't
Cool.
need to shill my project anymore because you mentioned it in
Yeah, I
such
did it
great
for you.
detail. So thanks for that. I'm gonna, he mentioned it's the Timeline XCP. It's on Scarcity. There's some cool
Yeah,
physical stuff associated with it. There's a 1/1 canvas that's represented by a 1/1 Subasset, so it's an NFT with a physical print, and I signed
yeah,
that. And there's some other cool stuff like a coffee mug and a mouse pad and a little calendar, so you can learn about a project like once per month. And
so
yeah,
cool.
so that's live over there, and I'm doing some more interviews this week. Theo Goodman is tomorrow. I'm really excited for
Yes.
that. I don't know. Have you met Theo before?
Yeah, yeah. Theo was one of the earliest crypto people that I met in real life.
He's hilarious, man.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's like legit a comedian. He did a comedy set
Yeah.
at NFT NYC with Kane
Oh no.
Mayfield. Kane Mayfield did a set too.
Oh wow, cool. I didn't
It-
know Kane was doing it too.
yeah, I think he just got convinced. We've been telling Kane for a long time that him's just riffs on his own are hilarious. So and
Cool.
and yeah, I turned on uh, well, I always mention to Theo that he needs to go out and do Kill Tony. I want him to be Theo Goodman Money Bucketful. If you guys aren't aware, Kill Tony's like this comedy show where anybody can go up and do a minute of comedy if they're magically pulled out of this hat. And I've always wanted him to do that. But
Yeah, that would be cool.
yeah, but that's what's coming up tomorrow. And
All
but
right, mate.
man, I might hit you up in the future for another interview because I'm sure there's a lot more we could go through and much more
Yeah, sure,
history.
man.
But
Yeah.
it's been great having you here,
Yeah. Thanks
and
so much for having me, man. You're definitely like calming down my imposter syndrome a little bit.
imposter syndrome, is that like a psychological thing? Remind me, is it like
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like there's like so many like amazing people in this space who are doing way better things than me. Like, why am I here on this space, like being interviewed by Dave Starr? Like, yeah, trying to get over it.
no, I think we're really I don't want to say we're all equal in some sort of cliche way, but everyone played such a big part.
Yeah,
And I don't know, I still feel that way. I mean, like, what did I do? I made Breitbart Pep, and I made a Burnquist fake comment, and like, what else? So this is my first
yeah,
kind of go at something pretty serious. And it wasn't until 2021 that I was like, oh wow, people are taking this seriously. Maybe I should too. So this
cool.
is yeah. So yeah, don't downplay yourself. You got there's an incredible amount of history you were a part of. So
yeah, thanks, man. Much appreciated.
of course. Well, I'm gonna sign off there. Just want to shout out Arwen and Rabanira and Dr. Scratch and Morty. Thanks for coming out, and Morty Len, I should say. Thanks for coming out and checking this space out. We got one more tomorrow. I got a couple more days of interviews, and then I go present all this data. And I'm basically going to show up to the counterparty and tell these people, hey, you need to know about Kaleidoscope. I'm going to show Kaleidoscope over in Miami. So,
wait, I'll try and get it fixed tonight then.
Oh man, no rush. But all right, well, I'll sign off there. Thanks again, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
See you, man.
Cheers. Bye.